Well, thanks everyone. Can I just start by saying that my own electorate of Blacktown is somewhere that I know only too well the struggles that people are facing when it comes to Department of Housing, dealing with the Department of Housing and dealing with issues around maintenance. One of the things that I feel very strongly about, and I've had our Shadow Minister Sophie Cox working on this for some time, is a real solution to affordable housing, to public housing, to affordable housing and accessible housing. One of the things that I can assure you Labor would never have done is treat the residents of Millers Point the way they have been treated, the appalling way they've been treated. I know people personally who live in Millers Point. The impact that that is having on them, the impact that the way they've been dealt with on their health, the fact that they haven't been told where they're going, the way this government managed the whole process gives you an insight into what they think of people who live in public housing. Housing and a roof over your head, as has previously been said, is a human right. Having a house and somewhere to live is something that governments are responsible for and something that I am very conscious of that we must do much better. It was said by one of the previous speakers, I think it was Kelly, that said, you know, in a wealthy society like ours, people should have homes, that people should have access to a roof over their heads. And I know that governments have to do much better than has been done historically, and I know that we need a government that's actually focused on putting roofs over people's houses, roofs over people's heads. It is not a simple solution, but it has to be a priority. It should be a priority for any government in this state to ensure that we are doing much more to maintain the existing dwellings and much, much more to put roofs over people's houses. In my own electorate office, I regularly have people who've been on priority housing and waiting for a decade or longer just to get a house. It is not good enough. It is not going to be acceptable, and I want you to know that one of the things that I've said from the outset as leader, and one of the things that we will be taking to the next election, is a detailed, comprehensive policy on how we deal with the housing problems in this state. Not just public housing, but affordable housing and more housing. That we need to be looking after you. We need to be doing better looking after the people who are on those waiting lists and have been waiting so long. That maintenance must be a priority. I heard someone say get on with it. The only way I can get on with it is if we're on the government benches. What we can do in the meantime is hold this government to account for the appalling way and the despicable way they treat and they look at people who live in public housing. As was said previously, this minister looks down her nose at people who live in public housing. This is a minister who doesn't think that we should have people of all walks of life living in the suburbs right across Sydney. Her view is that people who want to live in public housing should be dispersed to the four ends of the earth, not living in places where you can get on with life, where you can access services and where you can get an education. That's not what a Labor government is about. Labor knows that people need to be living where they can access services. They need to be living in the city. They need to be living in the inner suburbs, not just sent to the four winds of Sydney or New South Wales because it's cheap, but actually providing people with housing where they get services. So I'm very interested. We will keep fighting. We are going to work hard. I want to hear your stories so that we can continue to hold this government to account for the disgusting and despicable approach they take to tenants in public housing.
Thanks, John, for coming here today. John Robertson.